as incredibly functional as embryological development, where literally if we didn't have these ERVs, we wouldn't survive. Mammals wouldn't exist. Okay, so Mark's basic question is, why do all modes of transportation share engines in common? Well, it's good design. Engines are necessary, hearts are necessary, and endogenous retroviruses are necessary to sustain healthy life processes. And so, of course, I would expect all of the biological world to share ERVs in common. It is within these papers that we find their functional roles in acting in tumor suppression and fighting off exogenous retroviruses. They do this because they do share sequence similarity with exogenous retroviruses. That's the data. What's the interpretation? Well, the interpretation is they have those sequence similarities in order to perform their functional roles. They have to look like that which they are fighting against. That's basic viral mimicry. That's how that works. And so I'll wrap it up there.
All right. Well, now that we've got that gish gallop to try to avoid what we were just talking about and moving the goalposts, I would just like to tell Donnie that I will accept checks, money orders, or Venmo or PayPal. Thank you.
No, just like
so you are saying it's more than just an LTR that we're looking at in that
yes,
paper?
It is not just an LTR. It's a total ERV genome. Yes.
Okay. Send it to me.
And I would just like to add something that's sort of important for me. That sort of this idea that you're sort of saying, hey, show me the ERV being actually fixed. And Grayson showed, that paper. You've got to send that to me, Grayson. I love you. That's amazing. But the whole idea is you're claiming that they were created by some sort of God deity thing. Can you show us God creating this thing and inserting it into the genome, please? Why don't you live up to your own standards?
God creating gives us observations and implications to where we can make testable and falsifiable predictions. That's the gold standard of science. And that's what I have done. And that has not been countered.
Yeah. Well, the problem is that you're demanding that I show you directly where that happened from millions of years ago. And I'm asking you to live by the own standard that you're setting out, which I think is an unreasonable standard of direct observation. I would like you to show me directly the actual instance of where this was created in the genome, please, because that's the standard you're applying to me.
The result of this act of creation gives us the ability to make testable and falsifiable predictions. That's the gold standard of science. That is what I have done. But you, Mark, have not provided any real testable and falsifiable predictions. You have not presented an answer to really any of my challenges, any of my responses. So I'll ask you this. What testable and falsifiable predictions can you make on endogenous retroviruses?
Yeah, so we've done Phoenix Rising. We've done the paper that Grayson's talking about. There's been other experiments done where they have activated these so-called, inactive viruses that become viruses again. And it was predicted, the testable prediction was that these would have the structure of a virus if they were indeed viruses that infected. Because don't forget that we didn't, it wasn't the creationists that found this. The creationists didn't go, oh, well, I think that God has inserted viruses, so we're going to test the DNA and find them. That's not what they did. It was actually hypothesized by somebody in science, in evolution, to say, hey, we think that viruses have inserted themselves into human DNA, tested the DNA and found them. So it wasn't creationists doing any of this. And do note that creationists haven't discovered any of this stuff. They're relying on the evolutionary scientists and geneticists that came along and found it, and then misrepresent their work to fit with their God paradigm. That's all they're doing.
Both SeaScience and Dustin would like to ask you and Grayson questions. I'm going to let SeaScience go first, if that's
well. Actually, Stephen, if I could jump in real quick, because
go ahead, Donnie.
It's almost 11:30. I said I had till 11, but this has been so fun. I went an extra 30 minutes.
Yeah,
let me just respond briefly to what he said, and then hand it over to SeaScience and Dustin. If
go ahead.
So, just to leave no stone unturned, can you share my screen real quick? It's just a basic image. You can find it in you can find a diagram like this in many papers. And so, yeah, this is the structure of your ERV, okay, your LTRs on either side with your host DNA, your GAG, your POL and ENV components, okay? And so with Mark's answer there, I didn't see anything that's future in terms of being testable and falsifiable. You mentioned the Phoenix Rising experiment. Well, this comes down to the question, what is the origin of retroviruses in general? And so this is a much bigger debate. There's a paradox, a chicken and egg problem for the evolutionists, because retroviruses actually require hosts to replicate. So the question to the evolutionists, what came first, the host or the retrovirus? Well, if the retrovirus came first, remember, it requires a host to actually replicate in the first place. Okay, it integrates, it's made of RNA genetic material, and it can perform reverse transcription and reverse, basically. But the creationists would argue that you have host genomes, okay, with these ERVs front-loaded into host genomes, and from there you have what's called the escapee hypothesis, which is actually one of the many hypotheses in the conventional literature, where basically retroviruses are harmful retroviruses, that is, they have escaped from host genomes, they have been able to cross species where they can burn hot and fast and lead to disease. And so that makes sense, okay? So this goes back to the Phoenix Rising experiment where they resurrected a dead virus. Yeah, we agree. This is agnostic. Okay, they resurrected a dead virus from a host genome. Well, if viruses originated from a host genome, if retroviruses can come from pre-existing endogenous retroviruses that are beneficial, then yeah, of course you would be able to resurrect those from host genomes. And so this doesn't answer the question. This is agnostic. This isn't an actual prediction that is testable, that is falsifiable. I am saying in the future, based on the design hypothesis, we're going to find many more functional roles for these ERVs. That 80% genomic activity, we're going to find within that activity, 80% of the genome, that those ERVs and ERV-like sequences, this is not just noise, this is not just spurious, but this is real activity. This is the trajectory. It favors genome-wide functionality. This is future. This is the gold standard, because we don't know yet what exactly all of these ERVs are doing, but we'll find out in the future when we start performing those experiments. That's something that's testable in the future. But I haven't seen Mark provide that yet, and we'll let him have the last word if he'd like to, and try answering that again. Give me a future prediction that we can test and that is falsifiable on endogenous retroviruses. Not something that's agnostic like the Phoenix virus experiment. Go ahead.
Yeah, so all we have to do is just watch the viruses and see how they mutate. That's all we've got to do. We're already tracking their genetic structure. If their genetic structure changes and either a virus becomes malignant again, or if a virus that was malignant to have some sort of benefit for the organism, your thing's sunk. And I think that a virus will mutate, just like we see in the AIDS virus, to provide antiviral load to that organism, because that's how ERVs function. And I think they will show other things as well as time goes on. So get ready for that, Donnie, because if that happens, your argument is 100% sunk. And as we understand more and more about retroviruses sequences, as we understand their genetic sequence more and more, and we track them more and more, you're going to have a lot of explaining to do if that happens, because you're basically saying, hey, they were created here, they jumped outside, they were created, even though you can't show in any way that they were created in the cell rather than being in a transmission vector from outside. You can't show that. You're just asserting it, that they were created there. Asked you to show me, you can't do it. If they mutate outside and continue to mutate outside as exogenous retroviruses or as endogenous retroviruses, your entire argument is sunk. So, but I predict that will happen. Now, I'm happy to, if people got questions for me, I'm happy to answer them. It has been 2 hours, but yeah.
I appreciate that, Mark. I'll honor that. Give you the final word. We'll continue this discussion for sure on ERVs. And okay, yeah, sure. That was a lot of fun. I appreciate Stephen. I appreciate you having me on.
Thanks, Johnny.
And the 3 hours has flown by. It's been a lot of fun. So,
hey, I appreciate you coming by.
Much love, standing for truth. I
don't
get
do
IOUs in a
that. Like,
suitcase.
don't take like that. Oh well, I'd bet $1 squillion as real. Come on now, like don't be like certain individuals on the internet who think that like a sort of oh you said this, so I'm gonna come on now.
Plus, the way I see it, we're still at a draw, so I don't see any IOUs needing to be signed yet.
Well, if we're talking about IOUs, I'm still waiting for Mark to pay up those $1 million he owes me.
Yeah, so this is the kind of behavior that I'm talking about. But everybody knows.
Mark, I don't know why.
No. All right. Well, Donnie, thank you.
Yeah. This is what he's coming to do. He's just here to troll. That's what he always does.
All right. I don't want trolling. Yeah. So far, it's been civil. SeaScience had, I believe, a legitimate question, and Dustin has a handful of real questions. So SeaScience, ask your question, and then Dustin, you can unload.
Yeah, thanks, Steve. Am I coming through clearly?
Yep.
Sorry, can we hold on 1 second? It's really hot, and I really need some water. I do
deflecting. Let the record
Mark
show.
Reid, you're still here, right?
Mark Reid is deflecting.
Yeah. I'll be back in 1 sec. I just really need some water because it's hot as.
Don't run too far.
Yeah. I'll be back in 1 sec.
All right. I'll wait for you to get back because the question's for you, Mark Reid.
Yeah. Sure.
And it's an ERV question. So.
He's trying to leave. Either he needs to use the bathroom or he's being yelled at by his wife. One of those two.
I think if his wife was yelling at him, it would be in the form of a frying pan, and we would see it.
I don't think he was being yelled at by his wife because he would have left without explaining.
No, he literally just said that he's thirsty and wants to get some water. Okay.
Saved by
I didn't hear that.
Saved by the thirst.
So Praise already left.
Sorry, mate. Sorry. It's really hot over here. Hey.
That's right.
Yeah, and the guy has been talking for so long. I mean, give him a break, man. He just needed some water.
I was joking when I said he was deflecting.
No, it's fine. I get it. Like I ran to get some hydration because I need the sustenance.
It's getting hot. It has nothing to do because Australia is as hot as hellfire. Not at all.
Feels like it. Damn.
So, hey, Mark, would it be?
Yeah.
Would it be fair to say your wife knows how to throw the boomer pan?
Dude, what?
What?
No.
You said his wife. What is a boomer pan?
I have.
He's
like a boomerang, only with a frying pan.
What is happening?
Oh my goodness.
Okay, pause that. Justin,
you don't know what a boomerang is? Are you serious?
I didn't hear boomerang. So he said his wife can throw a boomerang?
I heard boomerang.
I said boomer pan, but whatever. I was trying to be fun.
Okay.
All right.
All right, SeaScience, go ahead.
Thank you, sir. All right, so we got Mark Reid here. We got Grayson here. I got a pretty simple question. I'm a simple guy. I like to keep it simple. Okay.
We know.
All right, so ERVs. There's a handful of like ERVs between apes and humans, mainly chimpanzees that have been identified. How many would that be? Like a couple hundred that are claimed to be like ERV sites?
Can you hear me?
Your screen's frozen.
I hear you, Mark.
You hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, but your screen is frozen.
Oh, that's okay. Well, my screen's frozen. OBS is like anyway. What did you say? How many ERVs are there?
No, he asked how many ERVs
No, Mark, that's not the question. Now, how many
ERVs
ERVs are there, Mark? No, the question was, how many like ERVs do you believe have been identified between chimpanzees and humans? Like ERV sites?
208.
So like 200 or so? Okay, so out of 200 or so ERV-like sites, these claims, out of tens of thousands of ERVs, there's only a handful of like ERVs. Now, if you believe that a handful of like ERVs prove a recent common ancestry between humans and chimps, then do the tens of thousands of unlike ERVs prove they're not related?
Yeah.
I mean, like, doesn't that prove that they don't share a recent common ancestry by the same logic that you claim proves they do?
No, because it's the way that they infect the cells is so unlikely for one, much less 208 in the same spot. And then you've got to add in that they're all of the same virus in each location. It's impossible for them to be separately infected ERVs. That's impossible.
If I may, I'd like to just read what Beamsy wrote here in the chat.
Well, before that, Grayson, I'd like you to address the question too.
I am. I'm addressing it exactly by reading what Beamsy wrote. Can you just let me get this out real quick?
Face, this is a real thing, though, not like a personal attack.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
I'm literally
just
reading.
Asking, man. Come on.
Why don't you guys let me just read
I am
this?
moderating you guys.
It is exactly on topic.
Chat.
It exactly answers the question. Just please stop interrupting.
Why are you so offended? It was like a short question.
You're still doing it. 8% of the human genome is composed of ERVs, which would be about 240 million base pairs. 500,000 base pairs is about 0.2% of that. So 99.8% of human ERVs are also found in chimps. So 99.8%. There you go.
What?
Nope. He actually just came back in the room, so you may have to reiterate that, Face.
Yeah, go back over that again. Let me hear that again.
Yeah, I missed that. I'm sorry, man. I lagged out for a second.
The amount of ERVs shared between chimps and humans, according to what Beamsy just posted here, is 99.8% of human ERVs are also found in chimps, because about 0.2% of them are unique to humans. The others are found in both humans and chimps.
That's amazingly different than what Mark Reid just claimed. He just claimed there's 208 claimed like ERV sections that are claimed to be alike. Not necessarily that they match exactly, but just claim to be alike and in the same place. Now, there could be a reason that this handful of ERV sites appear in the place in the genome that they do in the human genome and in the ape. It could be because of the nature of viral infections and how they infect a host. You see, because viruses choose preference sites by their genome, because viruses are little pieces of RNA or DNA that are basically floating around, and can infect a host. And the way that they do so is they match the genome where they infect the host. So you tell me why they ended up in the same parts of, say, a genome.
Can I ask a follow-up to that? Is it at all possible that these quote-unquote shared ERVs are also because chimpanzees and humans lived alongside each other in similar environments, whereas other monkeys probably instinctively stood away?
Nope.
No? That sounds like an empty denial, Grayson, there. I mean,
well,
you've got to
right. There's no explanation behind that. That's just flat no. Okay, I guess you proved your point.
Grayson. There's interspecies viruses. There's interspecies viruses.
I'll just be very clear. He asked a yes or no question. I answered it.
Okay, so here's the thing. Like this idea that they lived alongside one another. You're saying, hey, yeah, they have preferential sites where they infect, like around the outside of the cell. Yes. And because the genome is bundled up in that cell like a string, there's places which they prefer to infect on that thing. But it isn't as small as you're talking about. It isn't like one or two places. It still can be.
Well, the fact is that there's ERV
Excuse me. Can you please let me talk? It can be any of these places around the outside, which can be like millions of insertion sites. The idea that because it has preferential insertion sites, it solves that problem, it doesn't. It just doesn't.
Why doesn't it?
Because the insertion sites aren't as small as you're sort of
I'm not saying anything about the size of...
I'm sorry, Mark. He keeps...
That's okay. That's
SeaScience, you can go back and forth, but you got to let him finish. I'll let you fully finish.
Okay, can I reply to him?
Mark, were you done?
Yeah, go for it.
Go ahead, SeaScience.
Okay, so you just admitted there's a reason. I wasn't saying anything about the size of the site. I was saying there's a reason that these ERV sites are where they're at, because they have preference sites. It's the nature of the way that viruses infect the host. You believe that these ERV sites, or at least a few of them, are the result of viral infections. You admitted that to SFT, didn't you?
I'm sorry?
I said you admitted that at least a few of these ERV sites are due to a virus infection in the past.
What do you mean a few of them?
Right.
Okay, right.
That's kind of why I asked.
Maybe like the few. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
What do you mean by a few of them?
Well, you said there's only 208 claimed like ERV sites between chimps and humans.
Well, no, there's 208 exact like specific solo LTR and exact sequences. But there's 99.8% of ERVs are found in chimps that are like.
And they're not in the same place.
Hey,
they're all assorted in different areas,
yes,
right?
they're on the same
There's
place.
only 208 that arrive in the same place. So why are there only 208 in the same place between chimps and humans? No.
If
If they really did share a recent common ancestry, as you claim.
They're all in the same place. But what we're talking about is...
There's only 208. You just said it. They're all completely different.
Can we please have moderation?
What Beamsy has is a lie. What Beamsy has is misrepresentation of science. His misconceptions that he spews out. You're going by what Beamsy says. Show me the numbers. Prove to me that the humans have 99% like DNA with chimps. Go prove that to me.
I mean, I can get it
because human men and women don't share 99%.
Okay, this is pointless. I can't talk. He just keeps talking over the top of me. Yeah, so I can show you papers where they do say we have 99.8%, I believe is the number, of genetic similarity with chimpanzees. And as the whole point is, as you get further away in the genetic tree, you get less and less ERV similarities between those animals. Why would that be the case in a sort of creationist model? I don't know. It's some weird thing, but it makes perfect sense in a nested hierarchy, which is the evolutionary tree.
SeaScience, go ahead.
So he claims that there's papers that claim a 99% likeness between humans and chimpanzees. I agree. There are papers out there, even peer-reviewed papers that make this claim. But the way that they're measuring this likeness is not a total DNA likeness of the genome, which is what he believes, which is the misconception here. Because human men and women don't share 99% total DNA likeness. This misconception that they're pushing is just a common misconception pushed by the atheists here on YouTube.
One moment, SeaScience. Achilles, are you still here? Achilles?
Yes, but I just typed that comment, so I need...
Can you queue up the video where the scientist is explaining about the 98% shared whatever with the monkeys?
That's why I asked the floor. So continue talking. I'm gonna need 1 minute and 49 seconds.
And
wait,
guys,
that scientist is not named Tom.
Yeah, I mean, like I was saying, human men and women don't share a 99% total DNA likeness because we don't share all the same chromosomes. The sex chromosomes alone make it. So
I'd like to ask a question or two.
Wait a minute, though, Dustin. Can we stay on this topic for a second? If you want to talk about this topic, go ahead.
Achilles, is that scientist's name Jeffrey Tompkins?
No. And it's a presentation from somebody that you probably not gonna like him.
We're not playing a 5-minute video though, or a 4-minute video. This is like a 30-second clip that you guys are gonna watch.
And
he gives us credentials and everything.
We just squashed the ERV argument in 10 minutes.
No, it's gonna take even less than that. There's something else going on here, brother SeaScience. And we're going to see it in 30 seconds. So if you have something you want to talk about in 30 seconds, go ahead.
And then I would
I'll just repeat myself. Like I said, human men and women don't share a total DNA likeness.
You've said that 3 times now.
Yeah, I know, and I'll say it again. Human men and women don't share a total DNA likeness of 99%. That's a total misconception. The sex chromosomes alone don't allow for it. Because humans have 23 base pairs, okay?
Oh, it's so sad.
And then you have sex chromosomes, and then that would make a difference.
We're still gonna play.
There we go. Here we go.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
I don't know if he left or if he started having issues. He's using OBS for the first time, and it's a headache. So he might not have ran with his tail between his legs. He really might have had issues with his computer.
All right.
Mark Reid left.
Yeah, I think he's having issues with OBS.
No, I'm sure he's got some.
I have a few questions.
Mark's back. What are your questions, Dustin? And Achilles, just pull up the video when you're ready.
Well,
I'm
go
ready.
ahead and play the video. Achilles had a point to stick with. I thought
right,
since
Okay. Thank you.
Mark had left,
Thank you. Thank you, Dustin. It's only gonna take seconds.
I'm going to go
Theory of
bake a cake.
evolution, we share about 98%
Sorry.
that, according to the theory of evolution, we share about 98% of our genetic makeup with chimpanzees. Have you heard that in school? Have you ever heard how they came to that number? 98%? We've all just heard it, right? We share 98% of our genome with chimps. Okay, the video I'm about to show you is not from a Kent Hovind or a creationist. It's from somebody who believes in evolution, somebody who believes we came from chimpanzees, but actually acknowledging how we got the 98%. Check this out.
When researchers sat down to compare the chimp and human genomes, those single-letter differences were easy to tally, but the big mismatch sections weren't. For example, if a genetic paragraph, thousands of letters long, appears twice in a human scroll, but only once in its chimp counterpart, should that second human copy count as thousands of changes or just one? And what about identical paragraphs that appear in both genomes, but in different places, or in reverse order, or broken up into pieces? Rather than monkey around with these difficult questions, the researchers simply excluded all the large mismatch sections, a whopping 1.3 billion letters in all, and performed a letter-by-letter comparison on the remaining 2.4 billion, which turned out to be 98.77% identical. So, yes, we share 99% of our DNA with chimps if we ignore 18% of their genome and 25% of ours.
But that's what passes for science.
All right, is it done?
Does that sound completely absurd to you?
I think
Oh
it's
yeah,
done.
we just 4 billion letters. Let's throw those out. Hey, we're 98% the same. What? That's insane.
It's done, right?
But that's in college level science books being
And this guy's
passed
not
off as
making any more
fact.
points.
Here's my point.
All right. Well, here's my point. That guy was lying.
anything you don't like is a lie, Grayson.
No. Just demonstrate.
Yeah.
If you have evidence that what he said was true, show me the evidence that that's what he said is true. Because all I saw was that he was citing a cartoon.
And I'm pointing a cartoon right in your face, right here, brother.
I see that. It doesn't give you any more evidence than it gave
That
him.
doesn't mean that that's not what it's showing. They used the cartoon to show it, but it was from an official source that believed in evolution.
Oh, an official cartoon.
It's not his.
Bro, that was a YouTube channel. That was not an official source. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
No, just show me an official source that backs up what that cartoon said. Show me, and then I'll believe you.
I'll find it for you.
Okay, thank you very much. I would appreciate it.
Hey, put your guns away, John Wayne. This ain't the OK Corral, and you're not Wyatt Earp, so let's be friendly. Although we should take the monkey down, because that's kind of mocking me at the moment. Oh, boy, this is fun. You guys are animated. By the way,
just to clarify.
Hold on. Beamsy has been here for like 2 hours.
I've been wanting to ask questions forever.
Yeah, but Beamsy hasn't even said hello.
Stephen, Bimsy is Mark's friend, and he's here to type stuff. They can both go around. He uses the chat a lot, so if he wants to speak, he can go. Ahead, but I think Dustin is the one who is patient, because he asked for a question and I took the floor. But you're the host.
Beamsy has been here for like.
Backs up what that cartoon said. Show me, and then I'll believe you.
I'll find it for you.
Okay, thank you very much. I would appreciate it.
Hey, put your guns away, John Wayne. This ain't the OK Corral, and you're not Wyatt Earp, so let's be friendly. Although we should take the monkey down, because that's kind of mocking me at the moment. Oh, boy, this is fun. You guys are animated. By the way,
just to clarify.
Hold on. Beamsy has been here for like 2 hours.
I've been wanting to ask questions forever.
Yeah, but Beamsy hasn't even said hello.
Stephen, Bimsy is Mark's friend, and he's here to type stuff. They can both go around. He uses the chat a lot, so if he wants to speak, he can go ahead. But I think Dustin is the one who is patient, because he asked for a question, and I took the floor. But you're the host.
All right. Who did you say is up, Mark?
No, I said that Bimsy is Mark's friend, and he's been giving him and base theory the things that they are reading. They are in the chat. So I think this is what he's here to do. If he wants to speak, he can go right ahead. But now it's Dustin's turn, I believe.
Okay.
I'll quickly say hello then.
Hello.
Hey, Bimsy.
I do have a question, but I don't think it would be much relevant. But I'll let Dustin go.
Dustin?
Okay. So, we don't have a Luca between chimpanzees and humans, do we?
Of course we do.
What is that Luca?
Okay, Luca is a last universal common ancestor. You're just talking about most recent common ancestor, which is an MRC.
Most recent common ancestor. I'm learning all kinds of new acronyms and terms today. Thank you, Bryce. Whatever your theory name.
Yeah. So are you asking, like, do we have like an actual like fossil of the most recent common ancestor between chimps and humans?
No. Well, I mean, I know we don't, or at least that was the latest information that was explained to me. What I'm asking is, what is the ancestor? And how many common ERVs should we expect that ancestor to have with human?
Well, we don't have the species like of that ancestor, but it would have the ERVs that chimps and humans share. It would have those in common.
And there is no skeletal evidence of this either, right?
Not to my knowledge, no. The fossils for that have not been found because, again, look at the environment where it would have lived. Almost every single animal. Okay, what is going on right now? Why is he doing that? Okay,
that was me, and it was an accident.
Almost every single animal that has lived in a jungle environment has not fossilized. Jungles are horrible for making fossils. The soil is way too acidic. Like, you just don't find jungle species like well represented at all in the fossil record.
So, but then, like, if we're being honest, right, then your theory is incomplete.
Missing link.
Yeah, almost every single theory ever is incomplete. Like, gravity is an incomplete theory. Like, basically every theory of all time is incomplete. So I don't know why you think that's a necessary criteria. And again,
I don't necessarily think anything, Grayson.
I wouldn't even say that the theory itself is like the mechanisms of evolution are not incomplete. If you just want to say we haven't found every single skeleton of every living organism that ever lived, and if we haven't found that, then it's incomplete, I think that's a little silly.
Well, no, my question isn't necessarily having to find everyone. What I'm trying to get at here, Grayson, is that this is like a common theme through a lot of your chain. Like for cats, for example, you don't have an ancestor there.
Wait.
Like mosquitoes.
What? Do you mean house cats?
Or lions? Along that feline.
But we do have more basal, like cat.
Yeah, we've got the fossils for cats and dogs, like carnivora kind of thing. Like
no, but we don't have the common ancestor though, do we? But for whatever reason, we're led to believe that Archaeopteryx is an ancestor between lizards and birds.
No.
Why wouldn't it? Well,
No. Not at all. Lizard and bird common ancestor would have been way, way before Archaeopteryx.
Okay,
Stevie.
so what would that be then, Bryson?
The common ancestor between birds and lizards?
Yeah, what would that be?
Some kind of like basal, not maybe just after an amniote, like I don't know, an archosaur, maybe a basal archosaur.
Is it reasonable for people to be confused about an industry where you guys make up your own terms?
No, I mean every industry has their own jargon.
All,
like literally
all
every
terms are
industry.
made up. All terms are made up.
Right. So then the onus would be on the individual to explain them, correct?
Yeah.
Well, you didn't ask for an explanation for like what an archosaur even
All
is.
right, gentlemen, if I may, I want to try to include SeaScience. I believe he was trying to get back in. And Lupin, feel free to... Yeah?
Well, I heard him say Luca, so I...
May I play a short 1 minute clip after SeaScience?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm down for whatever.
Topic.
SeaScience, go ahead, and then he wants to play a 1 minute clip. And then you guys can critique the 1 minute clip. And if you guys have 1 to 1.5 minute clips you want to share, I will share them.
Okay, well, I'd hate to use this saying, but I'd say that, Bass and Mark Reid, they're gish galloping a lot, even though that was named after a creationist. They tend to be changing the subject a lot here. I mean, we went from ERV likenesses to total DNA likenesses to now, what are they talking about? Luca. Yeah, Luca, and definitions of terms. You didn't even ever answer the ERV question, man.
Just to be very clear, all of those topics were brought up by the creationists on this panel.
Sure.
Yeah, I was about
okay.
to say
yeah.
that.
Well, I mean, it was
so
like
the questions came in afterwards, and they were brought up by everybody else, not us. So I don't see how we're gish galloping if we're responding to questions that change topic.
So then this whole conversation's a gish gallop then, because it's not very honed in any real direction. Yeah. No, I do.
Well,
it's when you bounce around to a bunch of different topics, man.
Well, you're saying the conversation. Well, you're saying that
regardless of your gish galloping, regardless of your alleged gish gallops.
All right.
Okay, regardless of that, what about that ERV question, Mark?
All right, Mark, and Mark alone.
What about it?
Well, I mean, are you going to answer it? If there are only 208 ERV sites.
Exact ones, yeah. But we do share the so you're sort of attaching this like to those 208. What I'm talking about is it's 208 that are exactly the freaking same.
Well, it's not even exactly the freaking same. They're just alike. And they're just sections of genes.
Oh, can you show me that?
Sections of genes. So what you have here is a situation...
No. The other ones are sections of genes.
Can I respond to you, Mark? What you have here is a situation where you believe that 208 alike sections between humans and chimps prove a recent common ancestry, but you're ignoring the fact that there's tens of thousands of others that do not share an exact match and kind of prove that they don't share a recent common ancestry. And considering the fact that the way ERVs insert themselves into the genome is through infection, you believe at least some of them, and probably these ones, because they're in the same exact spot as in other species, and there's interspecies viruses. So like more animals, different species of animals can get the same virus infection, and then they're attached to about the same area, right? Or find the same section that matches the virus itself, and that's why they have preference sites. So with the idea and knowing that there's a reason for these preference sites, and knowing that there's such a lack of like ERV sites in total, why would you believe a recent common ancestry?
You finished gish galloping there? So that's a gish gallop when you go on to
no, it's
the
a
amount
question,
and the preference
Mark.
sites. Excuse me. Then when you go on through, sort of these preference things, then you go on to something else. That's what we call a gish gallop. So thanks for demonstrating what not to do. Okay, so I never added the word like. I never said that. I never claimed that. That's you straw manning my position, and that's just a straw man argument. So you're trying to say, hey, it's 208 that are like, when I made it quite clear that they're exact, and the rest are alike but not exact. But they share 208 that are exactly the same. And even though, and you bring up this thing of, okay, well, if you're sick of gish gallop, I can say SeaScience stutter maybe, or SeaScience stampede. How about that? SeaScience stampede. Then, so I've already said, hey, even though it does have preferential sites, it doesn't reduce the odds to being ridiculously impossible. Nothing you've done has addressed that, because you've conceded that there are still tons of sites too many sites that it can infect to simply be a random infection. That is absolutely clear. So that doesn't solve your problem, because if a exogenous retrovirus infected both a chimpanzee and a human, what we would absolutely expect in one instance of that occurring is them being in different places. That's for one instance. Anything over 10 is just a statistical impossibility for the same virus to infect in the same spot in the genome out of all of those preferential sites. And for 208 to do that is just impossible.
Can I? You got me there?
Go ahead, Chief.
All right, so basically, my response to you now is that yours is a misconception, because you believe and you're stating that all the rest of the RVs are alike, but only 208 are exactly alike. That's not the case. 208 appear alike, and the rest are not alike. That's what's real.
Can you show me a paper or citation for that?
Additionally, can I finish? Additionally...
Oh, sorry, I thought you'd finished.
Yeah, I know. Additionally, I like to gish gallop, So, your claim is that there's 208 exactly alike viruses. You understand how viruses infect, or virus theory, that there's preference sites. There's a good reason why these 208 this handful of viral infections, end up in the same place. It's because of these preferences. It's because they can choose they have these preferences for where they infect the genome. That's why they're in the same spot or like places. It's not because they share a common ancestry. What amazes me is that you deflect the fact that there are tens of thousands of unlike ERVs, and you try to claim that they're like, though. And I'm just supposed to take your word on it when I already know that they're not alike. So my question to you is, why do you think that a handful of like ERVs prove a recent common ancestry when there's tens of thousands of unlike ones? Wouldn't tens of thousands of unlike ERVs prove there's not a recent common ancestry by the same logic that you think does?
Yeah, so
it's a single question. It's not multiple questions. It's a single question. So try and call gish gallop when it's a single question the whole time.
Yeah, so it doesn't really matter. But you can. I've asked for a citation for this claim that you've said they're completely unlike, and you've just ignored it. You've run away. You've basically been an absolute coward and not actually produced anything, which is great. That means I can just ignore your assertions. And so, like I said, this has already been asked and answered, because you've said, hey, what are doesn't all of these ones? No, it doesn't. Because the whole point is...
What doesn't, Mark? You're not being very clear. I'm just saying.
Yeah, moderator, can we please have some sort of...
Can I play the video, and then I'm gonna go?
Well, I would like to be able to answer without being interrupted.
Well, this deflection is sad, Mark. Let's watch the video.
Answering and questioning for like 5 minutes now.
This is why I won't debate SeaScience. He's got no self-control whatsoever.
You have your rescue devices that you run to, Mark, to avoid debates.
Okay, SeaScience, man, that's not necessary.
I think this is sort of unproductive. I will say it's unproductive. But basically, if you say, hey, that the chances of you doing this event is so low to be impossible, and it, under the description that you've provided, Yet the evolutionary description can account for how that can happen without that probability. That if a common ancestor got infected, it would be at the same site with the same virus every single time, because if they had a common ancestor, it endogenizes, and that's passed to both lineages, right? There's no probability problem there. Even if it happens once, you still have the probability against you. It doesn't matter how many times, like, oh, well, if it doesn't happen exactly millions of times are completely identical, then it's it's not the same thing. That's evidence against it. No, it's not, because the probability of it happening once is almost impossible. The probability twice is so close to be impossible to be ridiculous. It doesn't matter. And this is the whole point. It doesn't matter. If it happens 208 times when one is almost impossible, that's really, really strong evidence against it.
Hey, Mark, genuine question. Are retroviruses handed down through mitochondrial DNA or the Y chromosome?
It depends where they infect. So basically, it's when a virus infects the germline, an egg or a sperm. So what happens is that that virus gets replicated. Like so just say you have an egg in a womb and it splits into 2, 4, 8, etc. Like it just splits. So if that egg
cleavage row, right?
Virus, I'm sorry.
No, I was agreeing with you. The cleavage fro, the separation of the cells.
That
what is it? The zygote.
Multiplication. Yeah, it's the multiplication of the cells as an organism forms. That multiplication. If a retrovirus infects one egg, for instance, that will be replicated to every cell in the body of that organism, right? So we know that because it's in every single cell of your body, it was infected in the germline. When it becomes fixed, it's when that retrovirus becomes a normal part of your DNA, basically.
So when it gets transposed, right? When it's infected the nucleus of the cell, and then there's a transposon that changes the cell and introduces the new code into the genes, right?
Well, that's what happens when the cells multiply, for instance. So transposons are sort of a cut and paste mechanism, I think, that sort of, the virus transposes itself into your DNA, but for it to be an endogenous virus, and not exogenous, not passed around external of the body, it has to be in the germline. It has to be in the sperm or the egg cell.
Okay, copy that.
Okay, so
right.
if we have you and I, right, and we both share a segment of viral DNA, right, and it's in the same place, and it's the same virus, think of the chances that I got infected with a virus, or my mother was infected with a virus, and your mother was infected with a different virus, the same virus at the same place in that egg cell. Think of the chances of that. It's almost impossible. But just say our grandmother, like just say I'm related to you distantly, just say our grandmother, when the egg in her womb, just say that got infected by a virus and she passed it on to her two daughters, your mother and my mother, right? That is a way better explanation for how we have exactly the same virus in exactly the same spot in our DNA.
So what's up with this video here?
Yes, can I play this, please?
Well,
go ahead, Luke.
Yeah,
I want to. It's a minute. He's been waiting. It's a minute, 60 seconds.
Yeah, okay. I'll stay for it, but I'm not really into watching videos. But
I don't really like long videos either. But short videos, I don't mind.
It's a 1 minute,
under a minute and a half or 2 minutes. I'm good. Go ahead.
As long as it's the last.
By the way, I've had 4 questions. I never got to answer it. So if anybody didn't get a chance to answer or ask any questions, don't feel left out. We've had a lot of.
Do you want to ask your questions? Because I mean, you can.
No, they were for Dr. Dino, but it's okay.
I mean,
I'll just play
Dr. Dino is here. I just haven't let him in yet because I'm pondering shutting it down soon. We've been going for 4 hours and 8 minutes.
Well, you'll like this video for the last clip here.
Go ahead, play this.
4 major ideas. None of them have ever been observed. Number one, that life comes from non-life. We have not one single example of life coming from non-life. Number two, that all the life forms that we have today came from single-cell life forms. Many people do not know that while we do have single-cell life forms that we call bacteria, we have no 2-cell life forms. We don't have 3-cell life forms. We don't have 4-cell life forms. We don't even have 5-cell life forms.
Wow.
That is, we go from single-cell bacteria to complex life forms. So there's no evidence that all life comes from single-cell life forms. The third postulate of evolution is that time and chance drive evolution forward, of course, and time
Can we pause this?
against evolution.
I'm noting it down. Just make notes.
Yeah, make notes.
Protein coming together by accident is a very big number. Time and chance make evolution absolutely impossible. The fourth postulate that evolution is based on is that
Okay.
Okay, so to address this, number one, that's abiogenesis.
That's it for me, guys. You guys have a good night. That was my final statement.
All right, we had a good show.
Sure, we don't have something better, Lupin. Are you sure you want to end on that one?
Yeah, that was a pretty bad one to end on.
That was pretty bad. Yeah. So abiogenesis is life from non-life. We're talking about evolution. Evolution, the theory of evolution covers life that's already exists and how it develops. It explains biodiversity, not the origin of life. The single cell to we've never seen a 2-cell or 3-cell. Yeah, but we've seen single cells organisms turn into multicellular organisms. Cladomonas reinhardti is the algae that turns from a single cell into a multicellular organism. It doesn't have to stop at 2 or 3. A sort of colony can actually become a multicellular organism. And that brings me to the third point, time and chance. No, it's time, chance, and a various number of other selection methods, including non-random selection, like sexual selection and things like that. Natural selection, recombination of genes. It also includes gene flow or what's it called, Grayson? The random chance kind of selection.
Genetic drift, is that what you're talking about?
Genetic drift, thank you. Yeah, so it has a number of mechanisms that are selecting for it. That's not random, that's deterministic, and it's determined by the environment. So time and chance is not evolution, and this law guy had no idea what he was talking about.
All right, well, thank you for that reply.
Anything to add, Grayson?
Yeah, I would like to if I could. So even if, like tomorrow, if abiogenesis was completely falsified, evolution would still be true. Even if it was the case that like life cannot come from non-life, we would still know evolution happened. All the evidence would be unchanged for that. So his first point is a total non sequitur. The second thing was I kind of forgot his. Oh yeah, the multi-cell thing. Yeah, Mark nailed it out of the park. Clemitomonas totally shows the evolution of multicellularity in a lab. We watched it happen. You don't have to go through 2-cell organisms as an intermediate. That's just dumb. And then the third thing, because we didn't hear the fourth one because it got cut off. The third thing was that his probability calculations are just completely wrong. Like the mechanism that he's thinking that these things evolved from to like he's just not doing probability calculations correctly. The mechanism that he's calculating the probability of is not evolution. It's just like throwing a bunch of parts together and expecting to get like a coherent functional thing at the end of it. That's not evolution. That's not how any of this works. His math is dumb.
So do you guys have any future predictions? Like, I mean, aside from people are going to get taller, which in my purview doesn't make any sense, but
why?
Well, because men have come through certain areas where we've been taller, and then there are certain areas where men come from where they're shorter. I mean,
yeah. Do you understand as a whole of a species that you can take an average, and that average can get taller over time? You get that, right?
Yeah, I get your assertion that the average implies evolution, but that doesn't necessarily follow.
Hold on. That's not what I'm asserting at all. All I'm saying is like basically what you're showing is like if I told you that the average pizza price is going to get more expensive over time, and you said, yeah, but we have some restaurants that have expensive pizza and some restaurants that have cheap pizza. You see what I mean? That's what you're doing to this. It doesn't make any sense. I'm saying the average is going to increase over time.
And
if I may, we do have several situations around the globe where evolution is actively happening.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
Well, one very visible example is that African elephants are currently, generation by generation, having smaller and smaller tusks on average, partially because a lot of the big tusked elephants were killed for their ivory in the past.
Okay, so is
generation by
Achilles just
generation,
playing
they're
all
having
these
smaller
memes?
No,
right
that's
now?
me. That's Stephen Andrew Bolin.
Yeah, I think I'm going to take off if this is going to be the sort of.
Oh, Mark, don't go yet. Wait, I had
No,
Mark?
SeaScience. No. I'm really not listening to you anymore. You're
I had a question about
interrupting.
your
You're
second point, your
disruptive.
sloth
You're
points
an
you just came
absolutely
out with.
awful interlocutor to talk with. Absolutely awful. You don't let me speak. You debate all of these, silly accusations. You've been insulting people in the chat. I mean,
Yeah, you have your
you've
rescue
been.
devices,
hold up,
Mark.
SeaScience.
I just have one
SeaScience.
question.
Hold up.
Have you
SeaScience.
been insulting people in private chat? Let's see if you're honest.
Mark, I did
All right, I'll
boot
see if you're
Bubble for
honest.
you.
I have one question for you.
No.
about your
Answer the
sloth
question,
statement you
SeaScience.
just
Mark,
made.
I did boot Bubble for you, Mark.
Yeah, I realize that, and I
No, I
appreciate
booted
it.
him
I
again.
think
You
I
booted
think
me
I'm
too
really
for
here
him,
for
dude.
sort of a serious discussion, and
Yo, I've been blocked more times on this channel tonight than I've been on any other channel.
Good for
It's
you.
crazy.
Hey, it's been a hard night of moderating, guys. I'm just trying to keep.
Well, I mean, Mark's got to be babied. Mark's a big
Cry
old
about
baby.
it
He's gotta
harder,
be babied too.
SeaScience. Whine.
Hey, about your
don't be
second
like
point
that,
about the algae,
SeaScience.
Mark Reid.
All right. Hey,
Mark
I may
Reid.
have started this, so I won't.
yeah.
do
Well,
any
thanks
more
everybody.
memes.
I really
won't do any
appreciate
more
it.
memes.
Stephen, thanks
Much
for
love,
letting
Mark.
me in.
Bye,
And I
Mark.
realized it was hard
Run
to
from the
moderate.
question, you pussy.
Hey, no,
Wow.
your dog's
No.
No, you're out.
Yo,
of
you're.
here. No, that's not happening.
Yeah, so this is why SeaScience is blocked on my channel, and sort of, after he did one of these outbursts, I sort of said, hey, send me an email with why I should unblock you. Just say something, a reason kind of thing. And really what it was, and I wanted to be fair with him, is to see if he could be a reasonable person and make a reasonable statement about why he should be unblocked. And instead he called me the C word and went on and on and on. So, I get that it's hard to moderate, and I get that all of that happens. I do get that. And I will bring up places where I think, it's been unfair, but at the end of the day, that's just ridiculous. I'm sorry, Steve. That's just ridiculous, mate. Anyway, I'm going to go. Take care, and I will catch you in the next one. See you,
All right.
Grayson.
Much love,
Dustin, Beamsy.
See ya.
Catch you later, Mark.
So
you're suggesting that smaller tusks is an evolutionary trait?
Yes, the size and form of body parts is, yes.
Oh, so we can expect this elephant specific family, genus or phylum to split?
No, that's not what I said. The population as a whole is trending towards smaller or even no tusks. I actually have an article here where out of 91 female elephants born since the 90s, 33% have no tusks at all, compared to only 18% prior to the 90s.
And what about that helps the elephant survive better?
They don't get shot for their ivory.
For their tusks.
Yeah, they don't get shot for their ivory.
You're telling me? Wait. Are you serious? Why if they're just not living to turn? Does it make sense? So wait. So you're telling me that it's an evolutionary response to being shot is losing tusks?
What I'm saying is the elephants that didn't have tusks or had tusks that were too small to bother with weren't shot and passed on their genes. And it's being represented in their descendants.
That's evolution.
It literally is.
That's
It's selection
hilarious.
pressure resulting in change in subsequent generations. That is evolution.
Wait, hold on.
Okay,
Question.
well-
Can you explain which variables in the environment would be causing these tusks to, by evolutionary reasons, shorten?
We just did.
I didn't
Yeah.
hear that. I didn't
No,
hear that.
because
I
it was
didn't
the
hear
ones
that at
that
all.
the ones
Dustin, hold on. I
the
wanna hear
selective
them.
pressure.
What was
As I
the
said,
specific
the
variable in the environment, and how was this demonstrated?
Poaching, for the most part. Poachers would tend to go for elephants with larger tusks, and because, more ivory per kill. Elephant poaching has been a known issue in Africa for decades.
So as a response to poaching for the ivory tusk, evolution has been gracious enough to selectively start short.
You cannot be serious.
Removing it
It's not
altogether.
It's not.
I'm just trying
it's
to
not a
reiterate what
conscious-
you're saying. I mean,
It's
why
not
are
a
you
conscious
acting that way,
process.
Base?
It's not a conscious process. The elephants with smaller tusks or with no tusks survived to have babies. The ones with big tusks that got shot did not have babies or had less babies because they were shot. So the next generation has smaller tusks as a reflection of that. That's all.
Thank you.
I mean,
Dustin.
okay. In my opinion, if you are to lose something that would be used in the wilderness as self-defense, that would be the reverse of evolution.
Nope.
Almost
you'd be wrong.
reverse atavism. Well,
Then I would ask you to go back and relearn what evolution is if you think that, because
Also,
you're clearly
that's
a little
not what
confused.
atavism is. But evolution isn't a conscious process. It just happens. And also,
okay,
a fully grown elephant, they don't really need their tusks for much, other than in the males when they fight each other. Female elephants
Right.
without tusks can defend themselves from predators easily. They're huge.
But since they do, in fact, have to fight other huge elephants, you could see how the tusks would be beneficial.
It's beneficial in males,
I
not necessarily in females.
So you're telling me that a male elephant facing down a pack of lions wouldn't benefit from their tusks? I'm
saying they can
confused.
handle themselves just fine without the tusks. The tusks can help, but they
They
don't
don't
need
hurt, though, right? And they are actually beneficial, like in a big way, though.
They are beneficial for the males when it comes
Wait,
to
do the
fighting
women
each
not
other.
have tusks?
Look, you guys are just completely.
No, I want to, Base.
You're
I'm
not.
asking a
You're
question. Base,
ignoring
I'm
the
asking a
environment.
question, Base. Do the
But
women
you're
not
ignoring
have
the
tusks?
environment.
Dude, you're close. Doc, do the female elephants not have tusks?
A greater proportion of them don't, up to 33% again in female elephants born since the 90s.
Okay, but female elephants do fight each other, correct?
I imagine
the
they
males
fight
do?
sometimes, but
So, I mean,
probably less
even
than
if it's a
the
cat
males.
fight between two female elephants, even in that case, tusks would be tremendously beneficial. There's no way around that. Now, Based, you can go.
Could be.
Yeah, I'm saying that you guys are trying to ignore the environment. You're saying, well, what if the environment was literally just lions and elephants fighting? Well, it's not. When you look at the total environment, you have to realize, hey, there are poachers in the environment, and having big old tusks is going to make you a target for ivory poachers and make you less safe. So when you overall look at the total environment that an elephant has to live in, then you would totally understand why your argument's fallacious.
My argument's not fallacious,
I can give you
Base.
as many sources as I want, as you want. What is happening is happening. I just sent a
No, well,
source
no,
from the
I don't
Smithsonian.
doubt
There's
that.
one
I don't doubt that if you kept killing off the elephants with big tusks, you're going to wind up with elephants with small tusks. I don't doubt that. My question is,
occurs.
no, I don't agree that evolution occurs. I don't think that has anything to do with evolution. I think that if you were to let the population, Grayson, I think that if you were to let the population grow back out, you'd probably find long-tusked elephants again, right? Like, I mean,
if they were protected from poaching,
dear God in heaven,
yes.
Then there is no evolution. See, what you're doing here is you're pitting. You're saying that there is no falsifiability to your theory, buddy.
Nope.
Right. So like that's exactly. So then go ahead and show me the example here in elephants that would show a falsifiability to your theory.
Dustin,
there has to be.
Can you give a short, like paragraph or less summary of what evolution is?
It's what is it? It's inherent modification.
Here,
I'm trying to remember. What is it?
Here,
it's
so I would define evolution as a change in a population of organisms over generations. This can be a physiological this can be a physical change or a chemical change, color, whatever.
SeaScience is having a lot of microphone
I'm back.
noise.
Nice. I'm sorry.
Well, would you agree with that, Dustin?
No, I wouldn't agree with that. That doesn't equal evolution. The fact that they're not all related, if what you're telling me is true, because the phylum wouldn't allow it.
We're not on a phylum level. We are talking about African elephants. That is a species, and a population is just a population of organisms is a group of organisms that consistently interbreed. That is a population. The population of African elephants is changing over successive generations, physically. How is that not evolution?
I would expect any series of events in the environment to cause an organism to change. And you can't necessarily qualify that as evolution. It doesn't make sense to. There's no progressive line there, like, because
no speciation.
For the longest time when I was a kid growing up in school, I was taught evolution was a series of progressive changes over time. Okay, now a series of progressive changes can mean anything. Right? There is no falsifiability to your theory. There's no crossover. You won't allow for it.
Okay, pause. There is falsifiability. If the population did not change in response to environmental factors, that would
such as the ant
definitely be a curveball. But the population
such
is
as the ant
changing in response to environmental factors, as we would
expect.
Such
as the ant.
Such as poachers shooting ones with big tusks. That's a pretty big factor.
Humankind has been killing ants with pesticides for thousands of years. What's the evolutionary trait for that?
We've had
pesticides. You're running away from the topic?
Yeah, we've used different types of pesticides on our crops for thousands of years. Yes, we've had different.
It's not really fair to tell Dustin he's running from the topic, because you're claiming that tusks are getting shorter because of poaching, yet elephants still fight each other, and it would be extremely beneficial to have them. So that should counterbalance each other.
I never said it wasn't beneficial.
Look, well, beneficial or not, you're saying,
Dustin.
What I'm asking is, yes.
Hold on, Dustin. Go ahead, Base.
What if I showed you a scientific study showing ants evolving insecticide resistance?
This is not.
Yeah, it's pretty common.
Ants evolving insecticide resistance is no different than like a human gaining immunity from a poison over time. This is not evolution, dude.
You just brought that up as an example, saying we don't observe evolution happening because ants haven't changed in response to pesticide use. And I just said, what if I showed you a study showing exactly that? And now you're saying, now that's not evidence. So, like, it sounds like you're the one putting forward unfalsifiable claims.
I didn't put a claim for it. I asked a question. So I don't know what you're talking about, Based.
You claimed that ants had not changed in thousands of years of pesticide use. And I'm asking, what if you saw data showing ants evolving insecticide resistance?
What do you consider data? Your peer-reviewed circle jerk paper that you decide makes sense so that I have to...
That's not, Dustin, don't. Make a point, but don't call it a circle jerk, right?
Dude, look, here's the bottom line, okay? If we look at a skeleton of an ant from thousands of years ago and we compare it today, what's the major difference?
It used to have feet marks on it, and now they have shoe imprints.
Well, here's a good example related to ant evolution, right? Because it was predicted, right, that there was a common ancestor between ants and wasps. And it was predicted at what time period we should find that at. And then scientists looked, and in amber, they found Sphecomerma, which is the transition exactly as predicted that has intermediate features between ants and wasps. So are ants and wasps now the same kind?
It's a claim transition.
You can, yeah. I mean, look, you're dodgy, bro. Like, what I'm asking you is very, very simple,
you dodged
right?
2 topics in the last few minutes, man.
No, I'm showing a comparison here, right? You're telling me that in short of what we're gonna say, what, over 50 years of massive poaching? How far back do we want to go here before we're starting to see this change in elephants?
Okay, so we're back to the elephants. The records are.
We never really left the elephants. I was just showing a comparison. We need some kind of a baseline in order for me to show a comparison so that my argument makes sense.
Your argument doesn't make sense.
Well, I don't even really have an argument. Go ahead, SeaScience.
Thank you for admitting.
I'm really just asking questions.
First, though, I'd like to read a comment from P-Town. Oh, a tiny bug can eat something new equals proof for evolution. Thank you, P-Town, for that incredible commentary. Go ahead. SeaScience.
Wow, no, I've completely lost my train of thought. He asked really if the theory of evolution could be falsified. I think he asked Dr. Dino. And he said, yeah, it could be falsified by whatever, proving that changes don't happen or whatever. But, what he's really asking is, like, what fact of reality, what hypothetical evidence could you show that would disprove or falsify the magic plastic ever-changing theory that all animals share a single common ancestor? Because that's the theory of evolution, is the theory of common ancestry of all life.
I'll show you one.
It's not that just things adapt, because everyone knows that mutation occurs.
Yeah, I can show you one.
Something that'll falsify that.
Yeah, that study that I posted, the statistical evidence for common ancestry, where they conducted a statistical test of genetic data that said, here's what a separate ancestry would look like genetically, and here's what common ancestry would look like genetically. That test was capable of falsifying common ancestry.
Right, but
is that the Google Scholar here?
But that's a fact that confirmed it. See, I'm asking for a hypothetical evidence that we could go out and find. I don't understand. No, hang on. Let me see if you understand the space theory. I don't know if you understand how scientific theories work and how they should be falsifiable, even though theory is in your name. Okay, so the scientific philosopher, what was his name? Anyway, his name.
Karl Popper?
Yeah. He said, Karl Popper.
See, I do know, huh?
You do know, yeah. So then you should know that, like, if there's a theory that all trees have green leaves, then going out and proving that there's a tree with red leaves would disprove that theory, right? So that's how you would find evidence that would qualify as being able to falsify the entire theory.
I'm showing that.
So how
right
would
now.
Yeah? Okay,
I'm literally showing you that.
Okay, but how would
All right,
showing
SeaScience,
there's likenesses between all the animals in life in the animal kingdom? How would showing likenesses between all animals disprove the magic plastic theory?
That's what I'm showing you right now on screen.
All right. And Base, I'm going to give you the final say of the night. After you're finished, I'm going to wrap this stream up. It's 4.5 hours long, and I have to farm in the morning. So take your time, but you have the final thoughts.
I won't. I
Put this in the chat.
That long. Let me just try to point this out really quick. This is what they tested: common ancestry versus separate ancestry. Right? These are the two models that they came up with this statistical test to test exactly these models. Right? So this is a potentially falsifying test for common ancestry. If the data showed separate ancestry fit the data, the genetic data better, that would have falsified common ancestry. This test right here was a potentially falsifying test of evolution. Exactly what SeaScience asked.
Is that your only final thought?
I mean, so far tonight, we've been bringing up tons of evidence that support evolution and falsify separate ancestry. So I'll just leave it at that. I've been bringing up evidence after evidence.
Okay, so everyone, we're going to be doing these atheist evolution versus creation nights once a week. You guys are all invited back next week. It'll be every Friday most likely, and they'll probably start at 8 or 9 o'clock every week. So we hope you come back, and this was lively. Base, I'm sorry that I got loud with you. It's been a long night, and I've been trying to moderate you guys on the panel, acting like gypsies, and moderating the comment section as well as the private chat. So I was overwhelmed. My bad.
Hey, you did all right. I don't think that gypsies should be slurred, but yeah, I mean, you had to deal with SeaScience. I do not envy your task on that one. He's a handful.
Oh boy. Well, thanks for coming by, and I hope I see you next week.
Peace out.